actually watches too. I don't know if she's there right now, but if so, hi, Grandma. And I find this amazing because I didn't think they'd be interested at all to watch this stuff. But yeah, they liked it, and then they liked it enough to want to contribute a little bit, and so they got me this gift. Ooh, source button. Nice. Okay, so not actually being able to type C or B into this editor is because I'm stupidly like stopping this from propagating. So what we could do for now, and this is not a good idea. Oh wait, no, I'm not even doing that. Let me do this. E.stop propagation. Hey Glenn, what happened? I think what happened, or at least what I think you're referring to by what happened, is I got a source button on the stream, which let me show you what that looks like. Come on, you can load. Okay, so yeah, there's this button which lets you actually change the quality, and you only get this after you get a certain number of viewers concurrently, I think. So I've apparently crossed that boundary. And what is chat saying? Thanks, Glenn, that's what people normally call me. Alright, cool. Yeah, I haven't had this many viewers since the first day, actually, which was 8 days ago. So 8 calendar days, but it was like 5 Botland days ago. So yeah, this is a big problem. The window, okay, let's say what the problem is. Problem. Window has a key listener. When you press it, it will show/hide the code editor. So then typing C into the code editor hides the editor. So we might need to write things the way that I said I didn't want to write things. Oh. The lol wall says, you deserve so much more viewers, man. Well, thank you. So yeah, I can type everything but C. I wonder... So, yeah, I guess I want these handlers to be... I could stop propagation in code mirror. I'm just not sure if that's a good idea. Let me think about this. So on change is not the same as key down, so this won't work. It's worth trying, but I'm pretty sure it won't work. Yeah. We could just give it an event listener on key down equals function E where we stop propagation on E. That might work. No. Man, is this even getting called? Oh, that's weird. Page didn't really refresh. This isn't getting called. Oh, because they're not using it. In fact, this isn't even a React component underneath. Superconscious says, who will make the design of the game? The design of the game is something that I've been talking about for the last 7 or 8 months with the co-founder. And so we both sit down. This is part of the reason why I'm off on Thursdays. I go to Seattle proper. We have a meeting. I have another meeting that's not related to the company, actually. And travel time there just takes long enough where I can't stream that day. So we sit down for about an hour and a half, and we just hammer out a lot of these details. So we'll talk about, okay, lasers. What is the counter strategy to lasers? How powerful are lasers? How far do they shoot? Why do they shoot that far? How do you code them? What if there's this condition in the game? How does that work? How do players have fun playing our game? How could they spend money for it? Like all of those things. Those are all things that we'll talk about, we'll answer. So I guess part of this is the editor itself is a text box, a text area. There's a text area, and that isn't a React component. But we do have access to it. We have access through CodeMirror. Let's take a look at the client's node modules, then React, CodeMirror, and index. So down here, we make an editor. It's a text area, and this is where we would probably want to register our key handler. Super conscious. Okay, everything except the programming progress itself. Pretty impressive. Yeah, so what we're going to start to do in the next couple of weeks / 1 month, something like that, is talk about art direction, UI, UX, how people will interact in a more concrete sense. So we know lasers are a thing, but how do you get them on your machine? Is it a drop-down menu? Do you drag something over to your machine? Do you just click a button? Do you, I don't know. So that's something we're going to talk to our art lead. So do I want to, let's take a look in CodeMirror and see how they handle their input. I think they put everything in one file, so that at least kind of makes it easy for us. Let's see if they have, yes, key down. Operation on key down. This, what does this do? Signal DOM event. This code style is very loose. Like, they don't put braces around their if statements. They have magic numbers all over the place. Yeah, not a fan. But what does signal DOM event do? So let's put a bookmark here. Signal DOM event, there it was. The DOM events that CodeMirror handles can be overridden by registering a non-DOM handler on the editor for the event name and prevent defaulting the event in that handler. Okay, what? So we don't want to stop something from getting to CodeMirror. We want to stop it from getting out of CodeMirror. This is... Okay, so I wonder if we could go back to sort of what we had before, where we had an on key down on this span, and then... No, I think... Yeah. So the problem is really this. What's it called? CodeMirror is not stopping propagation on their events, so they're hitting our window handler, which on pressing C will close the editor. And this is bugging me. There we go. So for us to stop propagation, I suppose one of the things we could do, first of all, do they list this anywhere in here? Stop propagation. Due to the fact that we still support Jurassic IE versions, some compatibility wrappers are needed. Stop propagation. So they don't stop it by default on anything. Let's see, someone else must have come across something like this. CodeMirror stop propagation. Huh. No, people haven't really talked about this, huh? Is Google any better at answering this question? Is there a way to stop event propagation from inside a key map? Simply register a handler on the node returned by get wrapper element and stop the events there. Interesting. Okay, let's try that out, I guess. So the way we'd handle this, and we're going to violate some coding here. We're going to look into our code input, and we get, oh no, not this. We're going to look into React code mirror. This one. So we're going to get the code mirror element. Yeah, let's just store this in a variable. Debug editor equals this dot editor. Then let's change this so that it rebuilds the bundle. Now we at least should have access to that editor from debug editor. We do not. That's not good. So is this code not being called? Or I meant this code. Well, we can find out by doing this. Oh, this is ECMAScript 6, so I have use strict on, so I actually need to do window.debugEditor. Okay, that's probably what we need. Let's try that now. Nope, that didn't work. Alright, well that's where our breakpoint's come in handy. So let's do this. Debugger. And then again, we need to rebuild this. Good. So let's, yeah, that's not even breaking in. That seems a bit strange. Am I in the right spot? React code mirror. Yeah, let's put it here. Oh. I've got to press C in the browser first. Yeah, darn it. Okay. Hey, spoke to Diablo. You were actually one of the people who was on, let's show you. You were on the ode list. Spoke to Diablo. So your name, since you followed me, but now you're back in chat after I set up my chat bot, your name will be pulled off this list sometime in the next minute or two, and then you'll be given light control. So yeah, we can check that out. So in like a minute, we'll go back to that. Okay, so the input wasn't showing. I've got to change a couple things. So show code input, let's set to true. Then in here, let's set the debugger off, and then we should have debug editor. Yeah, it would have gotten defined there. So now we have it, right? Yep. Okay, there. Okay, good. So we've got the code mirror now. We want to take that and we want to get wrapping node, get wrapper element. That returns the div that wraps this. Now on top of that, we want to add an on key down, which for most key codes will stop propagation. So let's do this. Add event listener key down or on key down. I don't remember what it is. It's just key down. Good. So we're going to add a function that if e dot which equals, let's see, 67 is C. We'll just do that for now. Then e dot stop propagation. Now let's get all of our parentheses right. Good. So now when we press C in here, nice. Okay, that worked. Oh, that just lit up my face. Yeah, I spoke to Diablo. You got it. So now we shouldn't see you on the ode list anymore. Yep, you're gone. And now you should be in our process list. Spoke to Diablo. Yep, there you are. Cool. The chat bot's working, guys. Thanks again, Metsuro. Okay. In order for us to do what we just did, though, we had to kind of mess up a few things. Grill Artist says, how are you going to prevent users from running actual JavaScript code in your code window, or will they be allowed to do that? So they will be allowed to run it. I mean, that's the whole point of the game, is this is actual JavaScript right here. But if what you're talking about is something like eval, that is the software validator that's going to prevent that. So let me show you this example. This is sort of how the coding will work. So if you type something like fire lasers in here and then validate this, it says, oh, it's lasers, sorry. Yeah, so it validates and then it spits out some modified code that doesn't look exactly like the code that you typed. So then if you try doing something like eval hello, and then validate that. It'll say you're trying to call a function named eval, but it's not recognized as a built-in function. So I run this through an abstract syntax tree parser, and then go through each individual node in the tree and make sure that it's something that I want to allow. If it is, I let it through. If it's not, I give you an error. And then what we'll work on eventually, probably now on Friday, I don't know, is putting some error markers in the gutter here. And I looked into that at first. It didn't look like it was very fun to implement, so I shouldn't say fun. It didn't look like it was straightforward to implement, so that's why we're waiting a little bit. So then you say, well, okay, what if I got tricky with this and I did something like A equals E, B equals V, C equals A, and D equals L. And then I tried doing something like window eval, and then call that. And so things like that are also stopped. And as much as possible, that's how they're stopped. Swiggity Swag, you typed bang game, but I don't have any chatbots set up other than to control my lights. What were you expecting to happen? And can I just answer whatever question you have about the game? And by the way, let me know who asked that question. Grill Artist, let me know if that answered your question. Okay, so we have some solutions to this. We actually just did one directly into the window. We did this. So solution number one, which is really kind of sucky. So cons, we need to specify all global shortcuts in this function. We need to directly access the code mirror object, which was written in a node module. Let's see. Spoke to Diablo. Can you show me what Botland looks like at the moment? Yeah, so this is what Botland looks like at the moment. Oh, hang on. Let me stop that stupid highlighting. Okay, there we go. This is what Botland looks like right now. You can close and open the... Oh, man. You can close and open the code window, and you can also open the visual code editor for right now. And that's it. And you can connect. And then chat is shown down here, and if someone else connected, I'd actually be able to chat with them. Let's see what else people are saying. So Farger, now type while true and then validate it. So this validates because this is actually valid code. When you go to run this oh wait, while is not allowed. But let's just change it to this. This is exactly what you said to do, just written in a different way. It's an infinite loop, right? So watch this. This is the cool part about this. This is what your code actually converted into. And you'll see there's this function which you didn't input. Your code got instrumented with a check time function. So what happens is, yes, this is an infinite loop, but if it runs for too long, like if check time determines that you've been running for 10 milliseconds and the max is 9, then we'll just throw an exception here. Now this actually isn't the same as what you said because JavaScript has a max recursion depth and it's like, I don't know, 500 or something. So this will actually break out in less than a millisecond. But yeah. Let's see. Swiggity Swag says, hey, on what game are you working and what advice can you tell the new programmers, coders, and game dev? I'm working on Botland, which is a strategy game where you'll write code for machines that you create. And I can go into some more details about that if you'd like. What advice can I tell to new programmers, coders, and game devs? It's a very open-ended question. So I think for very new programmers, it's just learn the basics, see if you're having fun doing what you're doing, and yeah, keep reading about things and asking questions to people. And most importantly, mix researching things with actually testing things and trying them out. So if you read about Python and you think it's cool, that's great, but it doesn't mean anything until you actually really try Python out and get a feel for it. And I can go into more detail on any of those sorts of things if you want. Spoke to Diablo said, where did you learn C++ and other languages? Some on my own, some in school, some from the internet. So yeah. Farger says, you can't break out of a while though, it's single-threaded. Yes, you're correct, but first of all, you can't even write while. Like, I don't allow you to use a while node. So you can see here it says node type not allowed while statement. But assuming you could, then your code would turn into something like this, just like how I showed you before. Your code would automatically get converted into this. So you, like, watch this. I'll say while true, throw new error Hi. Oh, error is not defined as capitalized. There, see? So I just wrote an infinite loop that I broke out of here. So yeah. And Swiggity Swag, yeah, so the way the botland's going to work, you'll make machines, and machines consist of various pieces of hardware. And hardware is just simply something like lasers, missiles, thrusters, harvesters, and then you'll write the code for those things. So again, imagine you have some system sort of like this. You have, let's say, 2 hardware components for your bot. Well, your bot. So you could say, all right, I want lasers on this one and harvesting. So this might be the bot that you have. Now you're going to write code for it. And you can do this a couple of different ways. So one is you can actually literally write code in here. So you could type the code that it takes to do this. Or 2, you can input a visual language. So I have lasers and harvesting. Maybe I want to do that in that order. I want to shoot something with my lasers if I can, and if not, I want to harvest resources. And underneath, this is just code. So you can always convert from the visual language to the written language, but you won't be able to convert back. Swiggity Swag, hopefully that answers your question. Let me know if you want to know more. And Mr. Cuddles MC, hello. All right. So I don't like this solution. What would another solution be? I guess solution number 2, the same sort of thing as solution number 1, but in a React wrapping node, not the pure DOM element, not the HTML DOM element. Spoke to Diablo, please, when I learn the basic of example Python, can I come here and you tell me what I can do with this language and give me some idea what I can do to be good in this language and get money with it? Again, very wide open question. And so if you want to come here and ask me things about Python, I can totally do that. If you want me to tell you what you can do with the language, I can tell you in general what you could do. For example, you can go to Pygame and start learning that, and then make some simple games. You could make Pong, and if you're an experienced programmer, you could make Pong and Pygame like super fast. Whereas if you were coding it entirely by scratch in something like C, it might take you, I don't know, a week. And then how to make money with it? It's be good at what you do and then find a job. My life sucks. I would just end it, but stream like yours help me, man. I must know you in real life for you to keep coming to my channel and saying things like that. And I will find out who you are. Swiggity Swag says, hey, wow, kind of great idea and original, I think. Hope everything works out for you and it will be successful. By the way, thanks for the advice. Keep up the good work. Yeah, thanks. And I think, so the idea when I came up with it, part of the idea I came up with about 5 years ago, and I've got something on the blog to kind of talk about that. So if you go to botland.net, you can find the blog here. And in the blog, I talk about one of the original versions, and I had never heard of another game that involved programming as one of the means of playing it. But now, a lot of people in the chat have told me, hey, have you heard of S-Creeps? Have you heard of Coding Game? Have you heard of this? I feel like Botland's going to be different enough that people will want to play it. So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting. And by the way, this is the video I'm talking about, the original Botland. So I can link that in chat. And JavaScript Battle. I've never heard of that. A daily artificial intelligence challenge that anyone can join. Oh, neat. Yeah, interesting. I'll have to look at this too. I'll write myself a note. Look at that. Let's see. Oh, man. Alright, I gotta... I'll be right back. I need to use the bathroom. So, let's... Alright, be right back. All right. Man, I'm pretty consistent with how long it takes me to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry. Well, let's just put these lights on me and act like I didn't just say anything. They're tangled. Alright, cool. Is Python able to code something like Call of Duty? No, almost definitely not. But is it able to code something that you think is really great? Yeah, I'm sure you could make a game that people want to play that you made with Python. And also, I'm sure almost every top company uses Python in some sense, even if it's not directly for the game. Like, Python has a lot of uses, and it's just, I don't know, it's a very fast language to code things in. I don't think you'd get the performance you need out of Python for Call of Duty. Okay, anyway, solution number 2, perform the same sort of thing as solution number 1, but in a React wrapping node, not the HTML DOM element. One of the things I'm concerned with any of these solutions is that I'm going to need to know all the keyboard shortcuts I don't want to make it up to. Alright, you know what? I think what's more important is someone controlling these right now? I think what's more important is that we don't spend a whole bunch of time on this particular problem. So how can we do this? We have the code input. Code input is already kind of our wrapper around this. So we could just put an on key down here, I believe, and then say this dot on key down dot bind this. And let's do OKD E. So let's just do this. E dot stop propagation. That's all we're going to do for right now. So basically everything that goes into code input does not make it beyond code mirror. And like that's actually probably pretty much fine. I screwed something up here. What did I screw up? Oh, I didn't capitalize this. On key down. Okay, so now when we type C here, this works fine. But when we type C here, nice. Okay, great. So that's our solution for right now. I think this is like, let's put this here. Because this component is a coding component, you'll want lots of hotkeys to stop propagation. I'll just write that. Yeah. And E is an event, but I don't know exactly what kind it is, so we'll just do this for now. Alright. What is going on in chat? Spoke to Diablo. What languages they use for programs like BF and Call of Duty? Yeah, the majority of AAA games, as Metzro says, is C++, C, something like that. Some are coming out, I don't know, well, not AAA games, but some are coming out in other game engines like Unreal Engine or the Crysis Engine or whatever they're called. I don't know if there's a AAA game that's been written in Unity yet. Yeah, okay, cool. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. And then I think the only other thing we need to do is stop this from showing up when the app starts, and we're done. There. In like 5 keyboard shortcuts, that's all that took. Great. So let's commit. We basically just fixed a bug that we also introduced inside of this. I think this looks good. So here's what we're going to say. Pressing C now shows and hides the code input. And then stop propagation of all key down events from making it beyond code mirror. That way pressing C inside of code mirror will not close the editor. And I want to capitalize that C. Yeah. Nice. Hearthstone's in Unity, yeah, but I don't think it's a AAA game. I don't know what AAA game even means, really. I just thought it meant like... Never mind. I'm not going to continue that. And yeah, I agree. I think Unity is a great engine, so definitely try it out if you're relatively new to programming. I think you still make nice things. What will Botland's icon be, or will it be that Sonic ice cream cone? So, to answer this question, I'm going to go back a week. It was Tuesday morning, and I posted to Reddit, and then I started the stream. And I had no viewers other than, I think, one of my real-life friends. And then all of a sudden, I had like 30 viewers, and then 60 viewers. And so, I didn't expect that to happen. And so, that's why when I ended up with, like, if you go to my GitHub, for example, which does not have this game will not be open source. I just use the icon that I use all over the internet, which was this popsicle thing. I gotta change that, but things are scaling faster than I can handle them right now. So there's a lot of other things that are going on, and just the other thing, by the way, guys, I mentioned this before, but in 8 days I'm actually moving, so that's why there are like boxes behind me, and if I pointed the camera over there, you'd see a mattress up against the wall. Like, I'm living in a fun house. So yeah, we're done with this, I think. In fact, all of this and this, which is the biggest thing. I was eating my breakfast this morning, and I'm like, God, today's gonna suck. I'm never gonna figure this thing out, and just everyone's gonna hate this. And but we figured it out, I think. So we're good. And by the way, what I meant by figuring this out, it's this part. And yes, this does not look great yet. That wasn't the point of this. The point of this was just to get it integrated. But that way, when you want dual coding, you can do something like this and say, if 1 is less than 2. Cool. And with Blockly, we'll actually probably need to stop a lot of this too, because, for example, I'm going to need to fix this, because if I press C right now, yeah, I thought that would happen. If I press B, it closes it, and then we totally get this screwed up. So yeah, let's fix that right now. So Blockly is going to need the same sort of thing as code input, in that your coding, you don't want this to be propagated. So let's do that. On key down. We're gonna put this on its own line, and we'll do that. Whoops. We'll do that right into here. Good. Okay, because this coding, yeah, good. So now when we rerun this and we open Blockly, now when we type C, that didn't work. Did I just refresh too fast? Let's try that again. No, I didn't. I just screwed up. Yeah, what did I screw up though? Did this just not build? Let's try again. And now, good. Yeah, that's weird. So when I press B here or C here, this correctly stops it, but pressing it there does not. I think we're gonna need to see document.activeElement. I bet it's something weird. Where is this? No, it's in Blockly right now. Wait, widget div. Huh. Also, let me try to catch up on chat for a sec. Like Ruby. Yeah, okay. Nothing aimed at me right now. So, yeah, that's curious. I wonder if it's because this is taking place in a div that's outside of where I defined Blockly. So if we look in here, this is my Blockly component, and then there's a div here. Yeah, and this div is where I'm actually capturing key down. So this Blockly widget div, that's apparently where this input goes. And yeah, I don't have keyboard handlers on that. Does this exist all the time, Blockly widget div? There it is. And Blockly tooltip div. So when this has the focus, alright, we gotta write this down. Blockly widget div. When this has the focus, we need to propagation. That's going to be a little annoying. I understand why Blockly did it this way, although I still don't understand how this is even working with React. The whole point of the virtual DOM, I thought this wouldn't work. Anyway, Blockly did this. They have their own like widget showing up on top of everything else. Actually, they could have probably... Oh, that way you know whatever you're dragging is... it's going to be on top of everything else. The thing I don't understand is this widget div, if I press 55555, how did it get themed correctly? Oh, I guess because of its CSS class. Okay, so this only exists though when I'm, what? When I've launched Blockly for the first time. And that's when it gets created. Alright. This div doesn't get created until you actually show Blockly for the first time. That's because the component... Wait. Yeah, component did mount. Function needs to be called. So then when the component mounts, alright, I can maybe do this. I don't even know if I can do this, but let's find out. If I put a debugger here, and then I launch, okay, good. Now if I do, now actually let's just look at the DOM. There it is. Okay, so if, can I do this? Document.get element by class name, Blockly widget div. Yeah, I can. Alright, so I would, I don't like this at all. Add event listener, key down, function, e dot stop propagation. Is this even gonna work, first of all? It doesn't like that. I saw it there in the DOM though. Yeah, what? It is there. Oh, it gets elements. So we want to do this. So now, when we type B in here, oh cool, we fixed it. Cool. Every time I say cool like that, I think of the Derek comedy sketch, the keyboard kid. He's got this keyboard. Cool. All right. Cool, cool. And then it gets really dark. So now we can't close Blockly that way. We can't close it here, but we can close it here, and we can start the code editor too. Awesome! This week's recap video is actually going to have some content in it. Alright, we fixed that. No, we got to comment this, because I don't like how I did this. Also, I must have just accidentally clicked something. Did I click new folder, or did I click rename? This is made at 312, so I must have clicked new. Alright. What was I gonna do? I just sidetracked myself with that new folder thing. Oh yeah, comment this. So Blockly. Yeah. Okay. So Blockly adds a div that appears farther down in the DOM than the actual mount node. In the actual mount node, and that's where you end up editing values, e.g. text values, numeric values. We need to stop propagation on that div. So that, yeah, I'm not going to write so that. I think that's pretty obvious why I'm doing it. Actually, no, I will say this. So that hotkeys aren't triggered when you're just trying to type in Blockly. Good, good, good. What did I do here? I just put this on a new line? I don't think that's really worth making a change for, but fine. Okay, added a key handler for the Blockly div that gets added after Blockly was mounted. This way, hotkeys like B and C aren't triggered while typing into Blockly. Similar to how the code info works. Okay, and we will push this code because it's been a little long since we pushed. Nice. Alright, that's done. Oh. So test out mobile, we did that when we tested CodeMirror, when we tested Blockly. If we were to test it now, we would see absolutely nothing because you need to press B or C to show those things. So I feel like we accomplished a lot today already, and there's still about an hour and a half left of the stream. So I want to get a snack. I don't know why I even just said that. I'm going to go get a snack. Also, I want to give myself some light in here. I don't know who was the last person to control these things, but you sure made it dim. There. Why is this? This is like laggy. I just want my lights to turn white. Oh, I know why. Color loop is on. Roaming Eye says, work harder, you're not allowed to take a break. You know, I have been taking very little time for lunch every day. Like today I said it'd be 50 minutes, but I think I ended up taking like 20. So I think I deserve a snack. There. By the way, let me reopen that. If you guys follow me, you get to use this web page, and then you get to do things like this. So let me just bribe you with that. Alright, I gotta go get something to eat or drink or whatever, so I'll be right back. Alright. Ow. I forgot I hurt my jaw yesterday. Oh, man. How do I eat this? Alright, I'm gonna... Ah, darn it. Sorry, alright. I hurt my jaw yesterday and I'm not supposed to be hurting myself more. So I'm gonna go grab a protein shake instead of a protein bar. Yeah, I'll be back again. Sorry. Okay. How did I hurt my jaw? I hurt my jaw. Yeah, I guess I'm just an old man. I was eating some food yesterday, and it just, I don't know, maybe I was chewing the wrong way. Yeah, I'm not totally sure. Alright. Gotta mix protein. I don't know how else I'm gonna go through this thing. Alright, So coming up, we are going to, well, let's see, what's sort of the state of the game right now. You can connect and you can chat, and the code things are there, but they're not hooked up to anything yet. So I think we're not going to try starting something brand new today, but we do have something old to finish, and that's this stuff. More specifically, when you're in the code editor and you type something like, something invalid, it should put a little error sign here and then tell you why it's invalid. So that's something we need to do, but that wasn't very straightforward to do. I might just want to work on that tomorrow. What else do we want here? This stuff is fine. Real visual coding, yeah, we'll do that eventually. I want to just set up as many systems as possible still. So what else? Yeah, then there was the actual code of getting chat messages working. So I guess we kind of have, we're either going to do either the linting in the gutter for code mirror. That's one thing we could work on. Potential tasks for the rest of today. Chat, no, so inheritance hierarchy for the sake of chat, or something else like cleanup, refactoring, to do, etc. Oh, actually, one of the other things we can do is the install a logger thing. So I think the most important are these two tasks. So we really should tackle one of those. I've got to continue using, hang on a second. And our redemption says, what keyboard is he using? I am using, actually, you know what? I can just show this. Hang on a second. I am using a Microsoft ergonomic keyboard. Programmer D says, how are you checking syntax for your code for my code window? And the answer to that is I'm using ES Prima and ES Code Gen. So I actually form an abstract syntax tree. I have a software validator. And all of this code in this entire file is just to go through, make sure the user-defined code is actually something that I want to allow. So I can show that working here. If I say something like fire lasers, that's allowed. If I make my own function, if I make my own function, foo equals function, that's allowed, and I can call that. If I try calling something like eval, that is not allowed. So that's the short story for that. I was given very few pieces of advice on Reddit that really, resonated with me when I posted that thread about a week ago. And one of the things was, definitely, though I would make one suggestion, don't drink almond milk on camera. So someone said this advice changed my life and I now drink cow milk on camera. So that's what I'm doing. It's not a mechanical ergonomic keyboard, not mine at least. And this sounds like the IBM Model M. That's kind of surprising. This is not a mechanical keyboard at all. So I do have one with blue switches in it, but I thought that'd be too loud to stream. Oh, checking for curly braces missing is actually also ES Prima. So the first thing that it does, watch this. If I just type like this, for example, this is not valid JavaScript. It'll actually say your JavaScript is not legal. Unexpected token, error, unexpected token. And same thing, if you forgot, let's say to close your if statement, and then you just tried writing something like that, yeah, it would find that you've got invalid JavaScript. Also, one other way to write something that looks like it's syntactically correct is this, trying to return from not inside a function. So yeah. It's so loud, the keyboard, because it's so close to the microphone. But, like, 1 out of every maybe 100 people complain about it, and then everyone else said, like, oh, that's just part of the stream. Oh, cool. Someone's actually using my lights. Let's find out who. It's Redemption. Nice. Hey, welcome to the stream. You're now in the follower camp. All right, we think this is probably the best task to work on, so let's actually do it. I've been kind of just like wasting time. First, let's make sure we don't have anything outstanding. Good. This is what we tried working on before, though, so we actually didn't get it working. So let's try to approach this from a good creative pink line mind right now. Will it catch stuff like if A equals true instead of if A equals true? No. So it's not a linter. It's just, where is that? Here. So if you type if A equals true, actually this might not work. I might disallow this. I don't actually know, but I didn't intentionally do it. Yeah. So no, it is not allowed. You can't have an assignment and an if in this. So it catches it, but it doesn't typically catch that kind of error. Also, the whole help for not programmers is in the sense that imagine I pressed a button and actually hang on, let me do this in a way that's much easier to imagine. If will lasers hit fire lasers. So imagine if I press, like, I'm looking at this code, right, and I say I don't know what I'm going to do, and I click a button that's like laser script, and it just pasted that in for me. Like, that's one way that we're helping non-programmers, and the other way is by giving them something that's very visual like this, lasers and just harvest, and then this turns into code, but you don't need to know what code it turns into. Versace. That was an imposter, that guy who was here before. So we want to do this task, and we want to do it, we want to get this working. I wonder, okay, there are a couple ways we could approach this. One is attempt to change the lint demo so that it uses my errors instead of JS hints. The other is attempt to incorporate linting as is into botland and then change it. So either we change it in our project or we change it outside of the project. And yes, Programmer D, the code window is for more advanced users, but even then it's like, I'm a programmer, and if I were working on this game, I don't want to have to go look up what's this. So we will hopefully have autocomplete, but even if we don't, imagine if there was a way where it's just like, oh, I want lasers in here. Okay, done. Oh, I want missiles in here. Okay, there's missiles. I want harvesting in here. Done. So yeah. If A equals true is actually legal JavaScript, I think. So if I say if A equals true, console.log A, this should print true. Yeah, it does. And the reason why is because A equals true actually evaluates to something. It evaluates to true. No, it's legal. I mean, you guys can see right here. And hey, Chuckita. And the reason why that's true, by the way, is because that way you can say A equals B equals 5, and both A and B will now be 5. The only way for that to work is if B equals 5 returns the value of B. And am I going to include auto-completion? Yeah, Versace, I'm planning on it. And Code Combat, someone stumbled upon that. I think someone showed me this originally. And this is the single-player game, right? Yeah, I looked at this. Wow. They have a lot of people working on the game. Oh, you know it works, you just don't think it should. I see. Yeah, true equals A, you can't assign to a literal, so that's definitely something that would get caught. But that's not valid JavaScript. Like, any invalid JavaScript is going to get caught pretty easily by ESPrima. Alright, so what do we think is a better way to approach this? Do we try changing the lint demo, or do we try incorporating the linting into botland? I want to get it working this way, I think. That way we can kind of just see it all there. So first we're going to go to botland app, and we're going to go to this, and now code input shows by default. So when I refresh this page, we'll see pretty much what we just saw, but it's there by default. So we can close it, we can open it if we want. Good. Next, we want to include some of the linting stuff. So we have a demo. Let's go take a look at that. So if we go to code JavaScript, and then what is this called that I'm trying to use? Code mirror. Do I have code mirror in here? React code mirror? No. Is that what I want? I downloaded the code mirror stuff yesterday. Where did I put it? Downloads maybe? Yeah, there it is. So let's just... Okay, yeah, here's where we want to be. So let's just CD over to that. Alright, next, there are some demos in here, and the demo that we were messing with yesterday, so let's just do an HTTP server here, and address and use. Do I have an HTTP server running? Oh, I do. Okay, let's close this, and let's run this HTTP server. Thomas Helby says, yes, of course, but you're not comparing things. You're assigning A to undefined. I'm not sure, Thomas, what you're talking about exactly. With what code do you think you're assigning A to undefined? Because the if A equals true is assigning A to true. Like, I can just write a statement like that and then say console.log A. And that'll be true. And I could actually say that for pretty much anything, like A equals 5. Oh, he's talking to Farger. Oh, never mind. Sorry, I'm not paying attention then. Yeah, I apologize for that. We're going to look at their example and figure out how they got linting working. So first we'll load up localhost 8080. No, Thomas Helby, I think you were saying everything perfectly fine, but you were responding to someone else, and I didn't realize that. Uh-oh. Why is this happening? Oh, is this supposed to be a node server that I run this in? Is there even a node server here? Like, let's look at package.json. Script test. Yeah, they only have test, they don't have a start. Oh, they have a bin though. What's in bin? What? What is this? How did I run this yesterday? They have this demo, but if I try just opening lint up... Oh, now it works. Okay, so you can't host it in an HTTP server? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so anyway, this is what we're trying to do. And the reason why we're trying to do this is because when someone gets an error in their code in the game, instead of having a separate console, say over here or down here, or worse yet, having you actually open up the console, which we don't want you to have to do, you would just click here or hover your mouse here and you'd be able to see what's wrong. To that end, let's try getting the linter working directly into botland. Now, let's open up lint.html, ccd ... lint, yeah, lint.html. Okay, so they use lint as an add-on, they use JavaScript lint, then they use a couple other ones that we don't want. They use the JavaScript mode, we have all that stuff, we don't need that stuff. Okay, so we're going to do something similar. We're going to open up client index.jade, and we have some of these things already incorporated here, except for that's not how we use it. We use it in client code input. Yeah, here we go. So here's where we have our add-ons. We're going to add some more. Let's go into, where is it? Oh no, it's already part of our node modules. So we can just add in a new add-on, and let's take a look then at this lint HTML over here. So we want JavaScript lint. So let's take that add-on. Lint/JavaScript lint. We want just regular lint, and then we want we're going to need some CSS for this one. Add-on lint CSS. And in that, we need to put that into our client index.js. Otherwise, we won't be able to see this. So, unfortunately, I did not find a way to do this through node modules, so let's just add it directly. So we go into client node modules, code mirror, and then we find, where is it supposed to be? Add-on lint.css. Yeah, so we take this file, and instead we put it into public style sheets here, and then we just make this lint. Now, that alone should work, except that we also, I think, need to tell code mirror that we want to lint. And we need to tell it how. So we're going to need both of these things, and we need to pass those as parameters here. So we're going to do gutters equals that, and lint equals true. Oops. Okay. Now the only problem is we need to set up this code, essentially. And the reason this is a problem is because we don't want JS hint. So let's do JavaScript Babel and format this. Let's see, what are people saying? Thomas Helby says, what is Botland? So Botland is a strategy game where you'll actually write code in the game in order to control machines that you create. And the code that you write, if you don't know how to code, will have something like this, a very visual way of you coding. And if you don't even want to do that, we'll have pre-made scripts that you can use. So I'm not promising something like what I'm about to say, but imagine if you just make a machine however you want. So you put lasers on it and you put missiles on it, and then you say, just come up with a script for me. Imagine if there was something as simple as that. So you're really coming up with the little strategy bits, and then it fills in the rest for you. So that might not be possible when the game comes out, but imagine something as easy as that. And then XUnique says, got real. There's a profanity filter on. I don't know how to turn that off, so I don't know what you said before that. Okay. And Zunami says, sounds awesome. Yeah, and if you have any other questions, feel free to ask me. I hope you guys are able to try the game at some point. So the game's going to take quite a long time to finish, but I want to have pre-alpha, alpha, beta, so that hopefully you get to just test things out. But don't expect to be able to try anything for at least 2 months. And in 2 months, if you do get to try something, don't expect it to be even a game. It'll probably be more like coding Safari. Monadic Bind asks, would sharing scripts be encouraged? Yes. And part of the reason why it'd be encouraged is because we can't stop you from sharing them, so we might as well encourage you. Thomas Helby, am I a professional programmer? I suppose so. I am now employed in order to program, although I am my own employer. Demonic, do you play Hearthstone? I assume you do. Chucky says that might even be your strategy. You do bad scripts and then share them with others before you go and fight them. I don't think that strategy will work. People will just see that their bots are not doing anything good, and they'll say, I'm not accepting code from that guy anymore. Okay, what happens when we refresh this page? We got an extra gutter. That's actually really good. Maybe this just works by default? No. So now I think we need a function that will tell us what the errors are. Demonic just likes memes. Okay. Alright, editor.operation. So editor is not something we're going to have access to here. Editor refers to what? The actual code mirror. Okay, so I don't know what operation is exactly. We'll need to look into that. But it looks like the way that this works is Whoa, yeah, what is happening here? Message append child. Cover gutter, no H scroll. Huh. I wonder if we could just get JS hint and then use this way. Let's try that out. We're gonna go find where JS hint comes from. I think it's an Ajax request that you can get it. Oh, come on. I did this just the other day, right? Where does it come from? Oh, there's JS hint. Oh, right. This, okay, I remember. If we go to code mirror demo lint.html, they include it from here. So we can just inspect this. Where's JS hint? Here. Let's copy this. Excuse me. We'll paste it here, and then we'll just use this part. So we're going to include this despite that we don't want it because we want to test this. So now we should have JS hint. If I refresh this page and then type JS hint, we should be able to use it. Good, we do. Gelatin Design says, I'm going to be giving a presentation on React to the team at the office next week. Are there any notable difficulties you had working with it? I haven't put it into production anywhere yet, but I'm a big fan of it in principle. Are there any notable difficulties? I think the biggest thing is just wrapping your head around how you're supposed to be doing things. So Gelatin, I'm using both React and Redux, and typically I think people using React might start with something like Flux. Flux and Redux are very similar. But in order for me to learn all of this, I had to, let me show you this. I wrote a whole bunch of notes on React and Redux. And there's just a lot to learn. And even when I tried doing things, I had to kind of struggle at first with, okay, Redux has reducers. The reducers had to produce new state. There can't be side effects. How does data flow through the application? And even now thinking about it, it's like, do I still remember that stuff? So when I made this chat log, yeah, I needed to do the whole shebang with React and Redux. I needed to make actions and reducers and map the state to things and connect. And so Gelatin, I don't know if that helps answer your question, but yeah, let me know if there's any other part of that. By the way, thank you everyone who's followed today. And by following, you get to control these lights on my neck. So follow away. I find this funny. This little halo is on my chest. Alright, so we have JS hint. Now we should actually be able to incorporate this sort of thing. Yeah, Gelatin, Redux is really, really interesting. It's just an interesting idea. Like, this diagram, part of what they market themselves as is a unidirectional data flow. Actually, what they really say is Redux is advertised as a predictable state container. And in the sense that it's predictable, that data is flowing in one direction. So you don't have models updating, views updating, controllers updating models again, and then you have these weird side effects. And hi, C-Dad. Have I ever used Unity? Yes, I have. And I used it for about 2 or 3 months, and the last iteration of Botland that I worked on was in Unity, and it was going to be more of an RTS. So there was, harvesting resources, then bringing them back to your base, and then going and doing things. I did not get very far with that. Okay, so now that we have the JS hint thing set up, we can try just sort of pasting this code in here. What is update hints though? Well, we made a function called update hints, but I don't see it ever being used. I wonder if it's... Yeah, no, I don't understand that. Is update hints called from here maybe? called from widget.html and lint.html. Or no, it's not called from there. Widget sets a timeout on that. How does widget come into the picture though? Do we use that somehow from here? Widget. Oh, I know what this is. This is code. This is not what we want. This is the code that's actually shown on the page. So then, yeah, how does this work? Do I just have this working already without having done anything? Oh my god, I do. Okay, that's pretty cool. So we gotta test this on iPad. Let's get the iPad without knocking over this protein shake. And what's going on? Clash with Cosmo says, what are you working on? Adam, I'm going to be pursuing game design as my career. Can you show me what the basics are? So what am I working on? I'm working on Botland, and at this point actually I'll probably let chat tell you more about that, although you can read the info in Twitch by either scrolling down if you're on desktop or pressing the info button if you're on mobile. And can I tell you what the basics are for game design? Game design is different from game development. So I'm not sure which one you actually mean, but game development might be something like coding games, or it might be being an artist on a game. Game design would be coming up with, and some game designers don't like this term, but game mechanics, or how I don't know, your tanks are gonna blow up when they blow up. That's a terrible explanation. Gelatin said, yeah, similar to Flux. Interesting. I've been playing around with the functional reactive stuff recently, like Elm, so I'm looking forward. Oh yeah, definitely. And I think Redux actually says in its documentation, which by the way is very good, it says in its documentation that it's influenced heavily by Elm. And from what I've heard of Elm, it sounds very nice. It sounds like Lisp written in JavaScript. Oh, darn it. This won't work on mobile unless I do that stupid hack. I'll just chat with people then in order to... Yeah, Cosmo, sorry. I would answer your question again, but we have enough people in the channel where I'll let them sort of talk to you about this. We have actually a lot of experienced people in chat, so I think they'll definitely be able to help you out. Alright, so we need to change that so that we've got that hack working again. Man, I'm not happy about having to do this, but let's do it. React code mirror, we have to open up the index here. Then we have to turn off is mobile. And the reason we can't just leave this hack in here is because anything that's in node modules should be able to be wiped out and completely re-added back in. It's not code that you will have modified yourself. So now we should be able to reload the page, and I'll show you guys this on the iPad. When we reload the page, we should see that component there. Unfortunately, I actually didn't think about this until just now. So let's see what happens. Okay, we have our code, and it's got a wide enough gutter where we can tell that our linter stuff should go there. The problem is we need to type bad code now using the iPad keyboard. Okay, there we go. So now you can see that there are 3 of those little red X's there, meaning every single line has a syntax error. The problem is it's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to tap them, or maybe it's just not possible. Do I have to close this? Oh, there we go. Expected, right parenthesis, and saw, right curly brace, missing semicolon. Yeah, this is not the easiest to use right now. We'll need to figure out a way to get this to work on touch at some point. I think for now, though, this is decent. Okay. Farsha says, hi. Adam, can you tell me how to cure cancer? Guys, don't make fun of Cosmo. If he wants to learn game design and he's asking a very broad question, that's okay. Everyone's got to start somewhere. Okay. And yeah, Norm, I think you're probably right. I think people would want to use Blockly on mobile instead of the keyboard. So yeah, I probably shouldn't spend too much time working on whether that works. And yeah, that's true, touch keyboard. Okay, so we incorporate it as is into botland and then change it. So the change it part means that we replace JS hint with arbitrary errors for now. And I think Monadic Bind has a pretty good idea there as far as learning game design. Making anything like a board game, a card game, etc. That's a way where you can do it for practically free. You just need to buy paper and pens, and you're done. You can start working. Oh, if you want to make game characters, as in the actual artwork for them, that would be an artist, I think. Well, that's what I would call them. Okay, now in order to change this, so we have JS hint and lint. No, where is it? I'm gonna stop spewing words out of here. It's in node modules, code mirror, add-on, lint. And then it's this JavaScript lint. This is what has the code that's actually calling JS hint. So we want to make this different. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a file inside of here called botlandlint.js. And then we're going to use botlandlint from our code input. So we'll use botlandlint. Then what we'll do is we'll make every error have a description of cows. And this will just let us know. Oh, then the other thing we'll do is we'll go into main.js and we will. Where's the main we want? We want the client main. No, that's not right. Where do we define will lasers hit? This. So now we're going to make our code invalid. Let's do that. And now we should see cows everywhere. If only every error message said this. She's so unhelpful. Okay. So we got that. Now what we really want is for it to go through our software validator and check your code that way. So instead of running JS hint, this is going to need to be software validator. Run software validator here. Now for this to work, this can't be in the add-ons folder. We're going to need to save this somewhere else. So, yeah. All right, let's start to get some structure here. We'll do this one step at a time. First thing we'll do, we'll save this into a folder that actually makes sense. So right now we only have main. Where's the software validator? Oh, that's in the shared folder. So then the thing that tells you your errors will just go into JavaScript. Sure. So we're going to call it botland, not lint. What do we want to call this? Yeah, let's just. No, what do we want to call it? Botland. Code mirror validator. Code validator. No, code mirror validator. Okay, yeah, done. Sorry, don't. My general rule of thumb is like don't spend too long messing around with names. All right. I always attempt to make these a little bit less obnoxious for people by flipping them over, but it doesn't work. Whatever. I don't care. Don't forget, guys, if you follow me, you can control these. You can control them. we saved this here. Now we want to actually require this. So instead of botland lint, we're going to require, where is this located? So // botland, I don't remember what I called it. I never remember what I call things. Where is it? Client public JavaScript, this. Oops. Yes, I wanted Windows help. Okay, so we should have the same thing working. Like now if we, uh-oh, that wasn't found. Oh, we can't, okay, yeah, this isn't, What was that error that came up? Cannot find module lib/code mirror? Interesting. It's looking for lib. Oh, code mirror validator is looking for lib. Oh, whoops. Okay, so previously this was in that add-on folder. We've got to change this. We should just be able to type require code mirror. Well, mod require code mirror maybe? I don't know if this works. And now we change this to foo. It still says cows. It should, strange. Did I break something again? File was changed, running tasks. Is this gonna say foo now? It is, okay. Alright, so what that just showed me is that this is not triggering changes. If I type like foo2 here, yeah, which means that we've got to update gulp. Let's update gulp. Client gulp file. We're looking at public JavaScript /*. So I think what we want, I don't know if glob syntax allows something like this. Let's try just this, and then we rerun our gulp watch. This might fix this. So if we gotta wait for this to finish. Okay, there we go. Alright, if we save this file now, nice, it triggered a change. Good. So the glob didn't work exactly how I expected. Which actually is something I should note down before I continue here. Note to self. */star.js is not a superset of star.js. I thought this was the case because I thought what this meant is any folder or no folder, but it doesn't mean that. And actually this could be why my other gulp file was screwing up. I don't think it was. Okay, so we updated that. Now we can actually just get rid of this stuff. We can get rid of this. And can we import from here? So can we say import, how are we going to do this? We need the software validator from here. And what we need is the correct instance of the software validator, which means that we need to register this from main.js, I think. Client main. Do we use a software validator? Import software. Oops, forgot to make that a regular expression. So we only use this in the test code and in our tool that we wrote. So we don't actually have a software validator yet in the client. Let's try that. Let's add one. Then we'll pass it to the like pseudo linter that we're writing right now. So let's import this, and then we just need to correct the path on this. This is ... Okay, yeah. There. Now we have no error there. So we have the software validator, and now we want to pass it into this code mirror validator when we start this up. That means that we need to make this a function that we actually call and then export. Right now, the way that this works is it's sort of an auto-invoked function. Hi MCD 0514. There we go. That may or may not work. I don't know why it doesn't work sometimes. Alright, there. Cool. Alright. So, we got a couple things to change here. One of the ways... Okay, so what we have to do... make it so that main.js can pass in a software validator for us to use. Twitch's own Douglas? Twitch zone? Is coding easy to learn? I think learning coding, like just coding, as in I have a thought in my head, I want to put it into code, is easy enough to learn, yes. Software engineering, which is like design, then code, test, release, all of those sorts of things. There's so many parts of each of these that it then becomes a little bit harder. And so when people say, is coding easy to learn, I think what they really mean is it easy to make something using a programming language? And it really depends on what your goal is. So make it so the main.js can pass in a software validator for us to use. So first what I want to do is change this. This is taking in a code mirror. So when I require this file, I guess it calls it this way. But I don't necessarily want to require this file. I might just want to import this file. Although it is nice that I get this syntax. But if I do require it this way, then main can't provide it a value. So what do we need to do here? We need to take in a code mirror and we need to register a helper on it. If that's all we need to do, then we can just write a register helper function and take in... Yeah, okay, this is kind of what we're going to do. We just need to call register helper on code mirror. But we need a software validator in order to do so. Is it easy to make a drawing? Is coding a game like World of Warcraft hard to do? So is coding a game like World of Warcraft hard to do? Yes, it's practically impossible. Like, for you to do something like that, you need such a large team of dedicated people. And that's just to make the engine. Then once you have the engine, all the quests that you found in World of Warcraft, all the items, someone had to input those. Someone had to make the art for those. Someone had to say that this item is called Ring of Death Fury, and this item is called something else, and here are what the stats of those things are. Then they had to make sure that those are balanced with everything else, so that, you know, Warlock isn't so much more powerful than Shaman, for example. I don't know if I said for example twice there. Yeah, it's really tough. But is making something like Pong hard? No. And yeah, there's always new stuff to learn. Even when you think you've learned everything, then they go and update the language on you. So, I don't know, a couple of months ago I was writing code like this. foo.require hello.world.foo, and then var x equals 5 and x++. And now it's like, okay, I want to import foo from hello.world, and then I wanted to say let x equals 5, and well, the x++ didn't change, but even JavaScript, which I've been using for the last now 3 or 4 years, has just changed. Not just changed, but for me it just changed because I'm starting to use ECMAScript 6. The syntax, the features that are available, even that stuff changed. To add to this, code mirror only exists in code input.js unless we get it some other way. No, that's not even true. Man, this is going to be a little bit tough. So to add to the difficulty, code mirror is only exposed in React code mirror. So let's take a look at how we're going to have to do this. We go into React code mirror and we look at their index. They have a code mirror that is called this.editor. We don't have access to that. We could probably store it in a different way so that we get access to it. Jeez. Xtonomous says, is there a way I can make a good game in only Visual Studio? Visual Studio is just an editor, essentially. It's exactly like Sublime. So, yes, I suppose so, but I also have a feeling that you are asking a slightly different question than what you think you're asking. Alright, also let me turn this down. I know this is super bright and it's like not even easy to see me right now, so I'm going to kind of change things back to normal. Unable to connect to what? And then I got to think about this problem. I think we can probably make enough progress on this where we sort of have the basic architecture laid out in the next 50 or so minutes. So let's set all these to white, set these to low, and set the others a little bit lower too. Whoops. There we go. Now you guys can see me. So yeah, this is the first problem that needs to be solved here. We need to get code mirror from React code mirror. So what are the ways we can do that? Store it in state. Can a parent in React access the state of its child? I think so. And I'm pretty sure it can access its props too. But props are something that's passed in. They're owned by the parent. State is something that the component controls. So let's try this. This is not going to look great at first, and then we're going to kind of figure things out as we go through. I have a sort of a design in my head. So let's do this dot state. We don't even use state in this app, do we? This dot state dot is controlled. Oh man. Okay, fine. So we want this to be, and then we want editor is set to null by default. Then we want to return a new state. So var new state equals this. New state dot is this is again, this is not a great way of doing things, but this dot state dot is controlled, and new state dot editor equals this dot editor. And then this dot set state, I think, new state. Okay, so if we do this, then now we should have the state.editor available to us from our code input class. So let's close some of these things. So now we have code input, we have this here, and we'll save this in a ref. Ref equals code mirror editor. And then when you press a key, we'll just break in and we'll do this dot refs dot code mirror editor. So we want to get at the state of this. Well, let's see what happens. We're going to press a key, it's going to break in, we're going to check in our code mirror editor, and we're going to look at the state of this. We should see the editor itself. We do, and that is a code mirror. Now, code mirror should have a register or something function. What was this called? Register helper. Oh, it's not on the object, it's on just code mirror, which we don't have access to. Gelatin says... Wait, actually I missed some things before that. Okay, you can make games in any programming language. Like Adam here is actually programming his game in the same technologies I use to make websites. And for games I usually use C# and Unity, so there's a lot of variety. Yeah, that's certainly true. Also, Gelatin, do I happen to know you in real life? I posted to my Facebook a day ago, and so I think some people are watching me now who I then later find out, oh yeah, I watched you on Twitch, and I say, that's really cool. I feel like I'm on actual TV, except for I get to wear lights around my neck. I don't know exactly where this register helper function comes from. So let's take a look at CodeMirror, specifically CodeMirror.js, and figure out where it comes from. Yeah, it seems to me like I just need to require CodeMirror and then register a helper on that. And in that sense, I should be able to do it by... Okay, this might be a little simpler than I thought. Let's test this here. This has require CodeMirror. What we're gonna do is just say var CodeMirror, let CodeMirror equal require CodeMirror. What's just found your stream a few minutes ago? Well, yeah, Gelatin, welcome, and I hope you like it. And Twitch's own Douglas says, yeah, I'm new here too. And then a couple people said, I watch more of your stream than I watch TV. That's very heartwarming. I can't tell you, when I first started streaming, which was last week, it's not like it was a long time ago, Tuesday night, the first day, I don't even remember, I think I called my aunt, and she was watching the stream, and we talked for like an hour, and I was just like out of breath the entire time. I was like, I can't believe it, and people were so nice, and like there were 80 people in the stream. And I thought, this is great, this is exactly what I wanted to do, and it's still very surreal to me. And I think that, 3-4 weeks from now, it'll be like, okay, gotta go to work, and I wake up, I go into the other room, and I start coding in front of a bunch of people. But still, I just keep thinking, a year ago, I was coding. I don't think I was like much worse than I am now, and I don't think now that things are any drastically differently. But could I have had 50 people watching me then too? Maybe. And hi SMS Stu. I think I just saw you follow. Yeah, and same thing with Brighty Almighty. Which, by the way, when you guys follow, you end up getting control of my lights in my room. So let me know if you guys are, that system's not working for whatever reason. The last person I created a token for was D. Aaron, who must have just come into the channel because I saw Aaron in here. Yeah, there's Aaron. I saw Aaron in here yesterday. How did I get so many viewers? That's a good question. So you'd have to ask the individual viewers in here, but I know that one of the ways that I advertised was I put a post on Reddit, and I wanted to get some feedback from people. So this was partially an advertisement. I mean, I had my link here, but I also wanted to know, like, how do I make this impactful for people? But that's only how you get viewers in here. The way that you keep them is then by having an entertaining stream. And so you guys have decided, I guess, that you want to watch me. And that's why I appreciate this, because I thought, like, I'm doing this because I want to make a game and because I want to eventually have a viable income from this game. Then Matic Gaming said, I still don't have my token. Matic, did you follow me? Oh, you have a lot of people you're following. Oh wait, no, 45. Yeah, you are following me. Okay. Let's debug it. Let's take a look at Ode. Is Matic on this list? No, Matty Boy is. That's pretty similar. And did I already give you one? Oh, apparently I did. Anyway, I'll just give you another token. It might have gotten lost somewhere. Who knows? Isamestu says, interesting. How did you implement the light stuff? This is one of those things where I eventually want to draw a diagram or something because there's kind of a lot going on with these. One, they're Philips Hue. So the actual bulbs themselves, including these light strips, have Zigbee, which is a mesh network. And they can communicate to... Oh, this is falling off. They can communicate to a Wi-Fi bridge. So then my computer communicates with that bridge also. And that section of this is pretty straightforward. So I send a command from my computer to a bridge, the bridge sends them to the lights. But then to give you guys control, I didn't want you having my own IP address. So I set up a proxy, and you'll see the front end. That sends commands to a PHP script, and then the PHP script will send them to my node server. And the way that I generate tokens is using a chatbot that CloudRaiser and Metsuro helped me write, and that's constantly looking for new followers in the chat and then sending out tokens to people. So the coding that I put into this was probably 3 or 4 days worth, and then an extra maybe 5 or 6 hours in the last week doing this. And then let's see, Progay says hi, and Manic Gaming says thank you. So hi, and you're welcome. Okay, let's get back to this. So if we require code mirror here, and then we put a debugger right here, actually, what we should see is, we should see the register helper function here. So let's try it out. Code mirror, good. Register helper, good. Cool, so then this is how we'll have to do things, I think. So we need to call register helper on code mirror, but we need a software validator in order to do so. That part shouldn't be too hard. In fact, we can expose a function from here that we export that will let main pass in the software validator instance that we want. So this is fine, and this is what gives us register helper, which is what we eventually need to call. Now, is there anything else we need code mirror for? I don't think so. So we should be able to kind of change a lot of this around. Brady Almighty says, how old are you? Your productivity level is extreme. I'm only laughing at the second part. The first part, I actually am not answering that question. There are maybe 3 questions that have been asked in the entire week that I don't answer, and that's one of them. The productivity level being extreme, I did just talk to chat for like the last half hour probably, although I am making some progress here. But I think the most significant example of my productivity being higher, being on stream, was last Friday when I was working on, I think it was the chat, and there were a lot of Redux and React problems that I'd never dealt with before, and I knew for sure that had I been alone, not on stream, I would have gone to Facebook or I would have played Hearthstone or something like that and then just stopped working on the problem. So yeah, you guys actually helped. Also, these things look awesome. I really like these. And why don't I give my age away? It was an experiment I'd started about a year ago at my work to see how people treated me differently. When I worked at Microsoft, I did tell people my age. And then when you answer questions, people always have that just metadata about you. They think age and answer to question. And then I think they react a certain way. So I think that people can think of me as being a certain age within about a 10-year range to be whatever fits their own world beliefs best. And that's my sort of strange answer to that question. Freddy Almighty says, yeah, but the actual work, dude, you're fast. Well, thank you. I do try to be. And no, this is not because I'm rich or something. This was a gift from my family who has actually been watching my stream. So yes, these are relatively expensive lights, but I did not buy them. So I'm grateful to have these though. Alright, so as far as structuring this file, let's figure out whether we want it to be this way. Yeah, so that's one of the questions we need to answer. Do we want to require this file or import from this file? There's no real... Well, okay, so yeah, let's say sort of the pros and cons. If it's require, then it's the same syntax that any other add-on follows, which is defined here. So this is how we require our other add-ons. Now there's no there's nothing forcing us to follow that pattern. So same syntax as other add-ons. And if we import, then we're using sort of the ES6 paradigm that we've set up. So same ES6 paradigm as other code that I defined. As other botland code, I guess, as other code mirror add-ons. And by the way, the differences between require and import are not the differences I'm listing here necessarily. I'm talking about why I might want to use it stylistically, because both can help me accomplish this. And Brighty Almighty says, that's quite interesting, thinking outside the box. Or did you steal that experiment idea? No, I just came up with that. When I started my new job at the end of, not at the end of last year, mid last year, I thought I want to try this and see what happens. Adam Sir was the kind you need to take shrooms in. Yeah, I'm not going to aim my webcam over there, but like there's just boxes and mattresses and yeah, moving in 8 days, guys. So then my internet will get better, then everything's going to be different. I'll be a new man. And for all I know, by the way, I might have a neighbor who's like, you're too loud during the day, I don't want you streaming, and then I don't know what I'd do. Probably just punch a hole through the wall. I think I want import here. Mostly because I don't like this nonsense at the top. I also don't like any of the code that was written for this. But we're going to fix that. So let's go with import. And let's export default code mirror validator. Should it be a class? Yeah, I guess that's the other question. Should this be a class or just a function that we export? All this has to do is specify a validator. However, what happens? Yeah, no, this should just be a function. So we'll say export default install code mirror validator. Okay, and that means we just need a function called icmv, which takes in a software validator and can properly install itself. So let's think about how to do this. What do we want? We want a validator that returns some results. So for now, we should actually be able to comment out all of the stuff down here and do this. Okay, the validator takes in text and options, and we want to return, alright, here's where things get a little bit tough because I need to look at how these results are formatted. We need something along these lines. Let's hit the play button. Okay, we actually already have a result. This should be just an empty, oh no, it's not, wow. Okay, cool, so we're gonna just copy this, and this is where I said like things are not gonna be totally straightforward right now. So what we're going to do right off the bat is we're going to make an object that looks just like that. Oh, it's an array of objects. So we're going to make it an object that has from, and it's going to be a code mirror position. So from is going to be, how do we use this then? There's got to be code. Is code mirror still available here? Yeah, actually I should have code mirror. Why do I not? Darn it. Code mirror. Oh, we have it there. Okay, so code mirror dot position. Oh, capitalized. Okay, and that takes in a line and so do we do new with this? New code mirror dot position 5 6. Yes, that's exactly what we want. So we want new code mirror dot position, and we want to just make up a number basically. So let's just say the same thing. 15. Oh, it's line and then yeah, 1, 15. And by the way, I'm not reading chat right now. I'm going to get to it in a second. Message is going to be foo. Severity is going to be warning, and that's just used for its CSS class. And then 2 is going to be a new code mirror position that we'll use the same one that we had here, I guess. 16 and 1, so 1, 16. and that's it. We'll return this. This is like our fake array. We install the CodeMirror validator. Now we just need to actually call this, and we call it with the software validator. So let's go to client main.js. Here's where we will set up our software validator. So first we'll do let software validator equals new software validator, and then we'll install it. We need to import that too. Import install CodeMirror validator from /CodeMirror validator, and then we install the two together. There, that should work. Now I'll read chat. Let's see. Bot in Easy says, where can I learn Unity? Well, wait, let's start up a second. So I be chillin' yo says, nice lights. Yeah, thanks. These were a gift for my family. Those I bought about a year and a half ago. And then Bot and Easy says, where can I learn Unity? I learned Unity by starting with the tutorial that was, oh wait, no, here. I can actually link it to you. Oh, no I can't. Not found. There was a space shooter tutorial that I thought was really nice. I don't know if it's been updated, but I can link it to you. I don't know if someone's already linked it because I'm like scrolling down the chat now. Soundproof the house. Bot and Easy if you search on YouTube. Oh yeah, good. Gelatin is answering it. Demonic said, that's weird. Do you normally get a whisper from the user Kappa telling you how to whisper on PC? I do not know what that's in reference to. Technical question. Are you writing the engine for the game right now, or is it just the first screen? I am writing the engine for the game. The first screen, I'll get back to at some point, I think. Farja says, I see you worked on a Twitch Plays Pokemon with less lag. I have a question about that. I made Twitch versus Hearthstone, but I had too much video lag. I tried streaming screenshots, but the frame rate was bad. Do you know how to stream video with low lag? No, I don't actually, Farja. I just uploaded a screenshot and then auto-refreshed the page, and the performance wasn't great, and I never really looked into it anymore because I had maybe 2 viewers, and that was it. Bot and Easy says, thanks guys, nice stream. Yeah, thanks for joining. And Tsunami says, well, I'm looking for a way to make a game only using code and graphics. What should I use? I don't understand the only using code and graphics part, because that's every game, right? Unless you're specifically saying I don't want sound in it. But if you're looking for an entry point, I'd say either Unity or Python and Pygame or any of the HTML5 engines. Actually, Phaser.js is really useful for starting out. I do find it pretty easy to get started with. And oh, Demonic, that's Twitch doing that, I'm pretty sure. And Tsunami, why do you not want to use Unity? But if you don't, I would still suggest look at Phaser.js. I think that's pretty nice. So CodeMirror, I accidentally capitalized. Let's fix that. Where did I write that code? Here. So we don't want this capitalized. Now, if this works, then we should end up with... Oh, it still says CodeMirror is not defined. Where did I accidentally write that? Yeah, where did I write this? Where is this not defined? Wait, yeah, what? What is going on? CodeMirror is not defined, and it's here. But I'm requiring it. Is this a let problem? Okay, CodeMirror definitely does define, or it is defined, and it's right there. And register helper is a function on it, so we hit play. Well, that was weird. We don't get an error that time. Well, I don't understand that part, but then this was our hack that we did, and when we installed the validator, it should be calling this. So let's try this again. We'll take off that breakpoint. So this validator is not being called, but we know for sure that we're registering this helper. Is there anything else we need to do here? So they had a validator and they made sure to return a result. We're doing the same thing. Of course, our result is sort of a hack. And then the rest of this is just to support that. and we know for sure that this is getting called. Maybe it's because we registered the helper sooner than we were supposed to. Let's take a look. No, that doesn't make any sense though. Like, we should just have this helper now, and it should be... Let's try again. No, that's not working. Xtonomous says, like, no scene view or anything. Yeah, thanks, chat. You guys are being really helpful for all the new people who are coming into this. And by the way, for those new people who are coming in, if you follow me, I bribe you with control of my lights. So you can change these to whatever you want. And for the sake of advertising, I will show you what that looks like. Well, this never works the first time I try it. It's an automated process once you guys actually try it. Yep. Not accepting new connections. There we go. Connected. Oh, my light server's off. Uh-oh. Matic Gaming broke it. It's actually been failing a little bit more frequently than usual lately. So yeah, here's what this looks like. You can just change this if you want. And actually, something that I didn't tell you guys about, or not explicitly at least, these lights, oh, I'm holding the wrong one now. These can produce better colors sometimes than the other ones. Like, this can actually produce cyan, whereas the other ones just do not have it. So let's make these the minimum. Okay. Are these lights hot, Ace of Spades? They're a little warm, I guess. It'll be nice in winter. The other ones, they get hot in the metal part of it. So there's the metal part and then the bulb. Okay, yep. So yeah, we need to figure out why Register Helper isn't actually doing this. And I don't expect, like this function isn't even being called. That's one of the things that we learned. Debugger. And the way that this had worked before, they defined a validator, and then they called some functions that eventually returned a result, and then they registered helper on that. We should be able to do the same thing, and so what I think this would be a problem with is just order. I must be doing something in the wrong order. Let's take out this debugger. Oh, that won't work. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see if that did anything. No, we gotta take this out for real. Whoops. Okay, so then now when we make a change, it still thinks it should break in. There we go. Oh, good, this is getting called. So there's our, yeah. Oh, weird, so it didn't get called originally. Maybe it's because it triggered sooner than there was code? That might be it. And if that's the case, this is actually fine. I don't mind if that's the case. Hey, Plain Zombie. I'm pretty sure I know who you are, so welcome to the stream. Alright, yeah, so this should be working. And this will work regardless of whether we have a line 1 or not. Well, actually, I don't know what would happen in that case. Yeah, we take this away. Nice. Yeah, cool. So we got this working. So now what we can do, and this is where, all right, how do I do this? I need to do validator.bind software validator. It might have been a good idea to make a class for this. In fact, we might still do that. So let's put this here, and now we have a software validator, and we have the text. So what we do is we .validate code text, and then this can just be totally made up. And from here we'll get their success. Now, the way for this to work in the future is we're going to need to change success into a set of errors. So what we'll do for right now is, if not success, then we'll return this stuff, but on line 0. And the reason for this is just so that we have an error that shows up. And I'll show you guys what happens when we do this. And we'll mark this as an error. Your code did not validate. To do, add more information here. Well, and specificity. Flesh all this out. Flesh all of this out. Okay. Then we'll return this. Otherwise, we'll return just an empty array. And we can figure out the formatting of all this later. I think this should be all I need to do. Let's try running this. Okay, so now whoop, that didn't work. Is validate code not what the function is? Whoa, what? What is software validator? It's code, but I bound this. Oh, whoops. Oh, I did that the wrong way. I forgot the null. Alright, so now when we do this, if our code works, then that should actually go away. Oh yeah, no, this actually is invalid code. It's supposed to be this. Yeah, awesome. That's so cool. Alright, this worked. So now if you try calling an invalid function that's still valid JavaScript, like a val, this does invalidate the code. Oh man, that's great. So next, we'll need to fix all this stuff up. I was only going to stream for about 25 more minutes. I don't think that's nearly enough time to get all this stuff hooked up. But this is perfect. We pretty much, so my goal for this week was to set up this, which is code mirror, this box that you see here, and get the errors showing up in it, and make it so that I could show it and hide it, and then also get the visual coding in here. So we have things like Blockly, and you can actually plug stuff in here right now. So this is great. I'm very happy with that. Fleshing all this out afterward should be plugging stuff in and working kind of straightforwardly. Chuckita asks, do you plan on linting for Blockly? And I don't think there should be a need to lint for Blockly. The idea is that you shouldn't be able to write code that is not correct. And also, remember, I'm going to have two ways of coding in Blockly. One will be with what I call like the heavy-duty visual coding, which is still understandable. You drag an if statement on, you drag something like this. If your we don't really have variables here, but anyway, if your life is less than, let's say, 500. Okay, we don't have a lot of these things actually. Yeah, so if your life is less than 500, then you could have something like repair yourself. And again, that's not really showing because I don't have those things. And then there's the very lightweight visual coding, which is just a list of priorities. Pursue closest enemy, shoot your lasers at them, harvest resources. This is sort of the order I want to do things in, and it turns into valid JavaScript code. So you can't really have bad syntax on Blockly. I guess you sort of could have something that's just not been finished. Like if you say if this, and then you hit show JavaScript, it fills it in automatically with if 0 equals 0. So is this code wrong? No. But you just didn't finish it. Programmer D, I'm not sure if you understood what Chuckita was asking. We're not going to be linting the code of Blockly. What he was saying is, are you going to lint what the user does in Blockly? So, like, if they put something... Anyway, this doesn't have all this stuff in it here. If they do something like what if they tried typing B here? But Blockly has built-in validation, so I don't think that's even a problem. Zogzer says, what stops people from adding custom items to the Blockly script in browser that sends invalid code? Nothing stops people from doing that, and if you try to do that, then the server will validate that it's wrong. So right now, I happen to be running validation on the client, so if you type something like eval and you hit validate, it'll say, yeah, that code's wrong. But guess what? It's JavaScript, and you can go into it and just say, no, that's right, and then send it to the server. And that's why the server is going to run the same validation that you run. So there's no fooling it that way. because remember, what this is going to come down to, it's like, how do I stop this? Okay, there we go. So let's say in chat, on the client, I prevented you from typing something that I consider to be like bad. So let's say you can't mention Zogzer's name. What's happening underneath here is that we are doing debug. I have to kind of get the socket. Yeah. So we're doing a socket.emit call, and it happens to be the number 5. Don't ask why. And then you can type whatever chat you want, like hi. And you can see it shows up here. So if I stopped you from typing Zogzer, you could always just like go into the console and type it yourself, which is why the server has to validate this stuff. Never God. All right, we made a lot of progress today. I think we are going to wind down, clean up this code, check in, and then go eat food because I love food. All right, let's delete all this. Done. Oops, I didn't mean to delete that. So yeah, this is pretty much it for now. For now, if your code doesn't validate, just fake an error message so that we have some indication. Return no errors or warnings. Yeah, and this is what we export from here. So that looks good. Let's check the rest of our code. We modified the gulp file. I don't know if I want to check that in right now. We modified this. This actually makes a software validator. So I should really say, just like I've been doing before, and I want to keep this kind of clean, this dot setup software validator. And then we make this a function down here that does these things. Good, good, good. So that should now look a little bit cleaner. Yep. And then we'll write down here, note that by installing this, you won't, I'm not going to write this. Still no Thursday streaming? Yeah, that's correct. Tomorrow I will not be streaming. As I said, I go into Seattle proper every Thursday, and I don't usually end up with time to program. Can we just watch you eat? Demonics asks, is your Git on a local machine? No, it is on Bitbucket. I don't want to trust my local machine with this. I don't even want to trust my web server. Like, I have a web server running something like botland.net, for example. I don't want to trust this because what happens when this goes down? So I can't help but do this every time. I don't know if you guys have noticed by now, but anything that's colorful is something that I'm fascinated by. So this is why I coded this into here, despite that there is no functional purpose. Alright, let's finish with this stuff. Code input. So we install some add-ons up there. We actually have active line there twice, so we want to get rid of that. And this is why we look over our code, so that we catch errors like that. We have the linter built in. We have fire lasers now with an error built in. That's actually... let's change this a little bit. I actually kind of want to keep that error there. What is that file? Code input. So in code input, we're going to change this just a little bit. We're going to change it to update equals function slash n plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we put this here. So now our code should look a little bit different. There's something I saw, Hugh Jackman with H-U-E. No, I want the Hugh Jackman, and it was an image, and it was an animated GIF. Ah, here it is. Nice. Alright, so that's not the code I wrote. Where's the code I wrote? There it is. And this should... See, it doesn't automatically show me the error there, despite that there's an error. But if I hit even just space, it'll eventually catch it. And it says your code did not validate to do flesh all of this out. That's the to-do is for me. But if I fix it, then that goes away. So again, broken and fixed. All right, great. So we're going to leave it in the broken state because that's what we were testing was the validator, and because there's no code execution right now anyway. So then let code mirror editor equals this.ref.code mirror editor. This is not necessary anymore. This is something that we've no longer said that we needed. So we also don't need this, but we do need this stuff in there. We need the gutters and the lint set. Next, let's take a look at this. This has show code input set to true. I'm not going to check this in. So let's just get rid of that. Then in input.jade, we don't need JS hint, but we do need the lint.css. Looks good. Then we also need this, and we can delete these files completely. That was also much easier than I thought it would be, although it did take a lot of time to do all this stuff today. I mean, I don't know how many of you are new to programming or don't program at all, but now you get some insight into, sometimes you hear, oh yeah, there was a 300-person team working on that software. Or for example, Windows. Windows has, I think, what, 5,000 or 6,000 people working on it. And you think, wait, what? Like, I can code a button to do something when I click a button, right? Like, why is that so hard? But then you see someone spend an actual whole day just working on stupid things like this, where, oh, I just want something to show up on the screen. Yeah. And that's why this happens. Interesting. This actually does show up by default now. Huh. Okay. We're going to just take one more quick look over this. So first of all, modify the client gulp file so that we are detecting changes in public/JavaScript, which that's something we forgot to do. Botland client, and then we write pre-commit. Don't you get tired from talking the entire day? Yes, usually by the end of the stream I am like completely wiped out and I just want to sleep. It's very hard to code all day alone because it's already a mentally exhausting task, but then you're talking on top of all of that and it's just very, very, very hard. Okay, invalid quote mark. Nice, this actually did find a real linting issue for me. And yeah, that looks good. So missing line fee to end also, let's fix that. And then that's it. Now it's going to spew a whole bunch of errors about code that we didn't actually write. And we'll let it do that. So first, that's what we did. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to check in just that. Yeah. And then we're going to make a different check-in for this other stuff. You should try to make it so that you're checking in just one area of code at a time or one feature, something along those lines. All right. So that looks good. All right. There is now built-in linting of user-defined code in the code mirror component. This does not show you real errors yet. It only detects if your code validated successfully, and if not, it will show a fake error. Yeah, so here's all that other stuff that came out, and a lot of this is not mine. It's Blockly code. And where did my scroll bar go? There it is. Yep, Blockly. Everything else looks fine. Wait, no, that. JSCS found 3 errors? Oh, yeah, those are the 3 that I just fixed. And then that should be it. Yeah, good, cool. Did we do anything else in this change? We should not have. Good and good. Cool. We'll just write a comment for this. Registers a helper for code mirror that will get called every so often. What was that? Called every so often to check whether your code is valid. And this is actually a software validator, and it does not return anything. You only need to call this once. And in fact, we should possibly put something in to make sure it's only called once. Let called already equals false. If called already, return. And actually, this is where we could put an assert here. Now let's do that. Let assert equals require assert. Assert dot equal. At some point I'm going to remember what the syntax for this is. So let's take a look. yeah, we can just assert that something is true, or put, I believe, assert. This isn't even used in the software validator, but whatever. Okay, so assert dot equal, we can test that. We can just go into node and type require assert, and then do assert dot equal true, false, high. And we get an error that says high, so good, that's correct. Now let's do assert dot equal called already. No, we don't want that. Just assert not called already. You can only call install code once. Good, good, good. Called already equals true. Nice. Now, just to make sure that that works, we'll test that after checking in. This code is fine. Now we go over to our we go over to client main, and we try installing this twice. We should get an assert, and we don't. And that's why we should have done that before we checked in, but that's okay. Oh no, I just refreshed too soon. Yep, throw new assert. You can only call install code mirror validator once. Awesome. Delete that. Our code should look exactly how it looked before, so we should not have anything to check in. And that's a day well done. Pat myself on the back. Alright, I do think we got a lot done today. This has been a very fruitful day. Granted, this page still looks like trash, but we'll fix that. Elsier asked, did you go to school to learn CS? Yes, I did. And Norm says, I just got back from dinner. I'm going to stay and just chat for a little bit. In fact, I think I have some... Yes, there we go. Now it says just chatting for a bit. Yeah. So yeah, if you guys want to follow, it gives you control over my lights. You can control this lit up necklace if you want. And you'll get to see me every day of the week except for Thursday. Well, and the weekends. So we got Blockly and the code thing set up. Yeah. So you can see them both here. And what on top of that, I got this thing showing. So it says your code did not validate. It doesn't actually tell you real errors yet, but if I fix this error, then you can see the error went away. And then I also got Blockly set up here. So yeah. Yeah, that was our progress for today. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Demonic, that moment when your antivirus tells you it blocked an exploit kit. Wow. Plain Zombie says, you're doing a bit more with your CS degree than I am. I'm too busy playing games and QAing for work. I'm super rusty. Well, it's never too late to get back into it. And Tsunami, bang lights is not how you control that. If you... Oh, you've already gotten control, haven't you? Well, here's more control. Token Tsunami. There you go. And Plain Zombie, I don't know if you got one too, but here you go. Actually, no. Bang lights red. Token parser. Oh, I don't know about that. Yeah, Plain Zombie, what does your bot do? Oh, nice. Someone's controlling it. It's Xtonomous. Can I make a script for your game when it's finished to give me a token? No. I don't think I'd be able to sleep at night if I gave people control over my lights for, like, non-streaming stuff. And by that I mean I could live with the decision. I don't think I could live with people going like this into my eyes all night. It's okay, Programmer D. I'm sure you'll find some other way to annoy me. Alright, there goes Xtonomous' time. Hope it was a fun 45 seconds for you. Oh, cool. Yeah, actually, I want to incorporate one of those into my channel. And people already told me about some of the ones I can incorporate, so I just got to go do it at some point. The problem is, as Mitsuros keeps saying, is my to-do list keeps growing and I only have a finite amount of time. In fact, we got this working. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, this has been pretty sweet. And like I said, I really appreciate you guys watching and pushing me to the top of this list. That's pretty sweet too. Never thought that would happen. And yeah, I spent about 30 minutes today pruning this stuff down. This all fits on one page. That's not too bad. This one fits on 2.5 pages. And Plain Zombie says, oh, just make your own. It's way more fun and you'll have way more control. I'd like to make my own. It sounds like something that I would have fun with. The problem is I have like at least a year's worth of coding on this game left to do. So, yeah. SSH Adam.13.53.1. Wait, what's happening? Why are my fingers moving? Oh God. Oh, I don't know how he just hacked me. I did some publicizing. I'm assuming that's what that means. But publicizing on FB for your stream, but not for you. I just want source on your stream so that I can have a crisp image. Go says, I've spent more time watching the stream than finishing the report I have to deliver next week. Yeah, I made a post on my Facebook. And, like, I never make posts on my Facebook. I think I've made a total of 3 in the entire 9 years I've been on Facebook. And, wow. You're messing with my camera right now. Doesn't know what to make the room. Is that you, Farger? So I don't give you tokens. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the whole Facebook thing. So I rarely make posts on Facebook. So this time I did. And then I think 4 people shared it onto their own Facebooks, which was awesome. And like 70 people clicked like on my Facebook. And there were a whole bunch of them. My wife actually reposted it. It was very nice. Wait, Programmer D, is that true? Did you actually stay home from work? And let's see, Demonic says to do 1, make more accounts, 2, get tokens, 3, sell tokens. I'm pretty sure you need a question mark in there somewhere. Gelatin says, been reading into Redux, it seems absolutely perfect, so thanks again for the recommendation. Yeah, and let me know what you think. Gelatin, you should send me a message on Twitch with your email address, and then I can email you these notes that I've taken, because I will tell you, some of these things were not very straightforward. So I took notes on all this stuff and I went through a tutorial, I read all these lessons. This is what I was doing the month before I actually started coding Botland. I wanted to make sure that the stream was as good as it could possibly be, so I got all this research out of the way. Like half of these coding notes that you see here are notes from just the last month. So yeah, it's been crazy. Zunami says, I've been trying to learn JavaScript, but I can't seem to catch on. Any help? That I don't actually have like good resources already just shareable for you. I would say just look online and you should be able to find something. But perhaps other people in the chat could help you with that. Demonic says maybe you could have this stuff downloadable on your website. Demonic, that's something I'm not totally comfortable with. I don't mind sharing it with a couple of people who happen to need it, or with, chat sometimes when I post a paste bin. But yeah. Chuckita says, since you started streaming, I never started my workday at the supposed hour. I keep getting into bed late. Look, someone gave me this advice, and I'm going to give it to the people watching this stream, and it doesn't just apply to me. Make sure you're focusing on your health. So, the first day I streamed, I didn't even get to finish my lunch. Like, people were asking me a bunch of questions in the chat, and I left it on this chair over here for like 4 hours. When I was done that day, I was just wiped out. But I was also super excited because it went so much better than I thought it would. So, yeah, this has just been crazy. And really, if you want, I don't have day 1 streams online, but Tuesday of last week, I made the repository for Botland. That's like, in my mind, that's the first thing you do for any coding project that you're actually going to start to write a line of code in. You set up a repository. And from that point on, you can start to actually write your code and it'll be source controlled. And yeah, Programmer D, I totally agree with his suggestion. JavaScript The Good Parts is a good book. It applies only to ECMAScript 5 right now, but also I don't think you'll be able to make sense of it unless you actually know JavaScript. Chucky. Oh man. And are people actually... Yeah, Farger was the last person to use this. I'm going to turn off this color loop. How distracting do you guys find these lights, by the way? Is it like a fun thing that the stream has, or are you thinking to yourself, God, Adam spends way too much time working on this stuff. Like, why isn't he getting back to just coding? I'm curious about what you guys think with that. And by the way, I will be getting going pretty soon. Oh, Farger, no, it's no problem. To be honest, I did kind of think you were trying to like mess with it, but it's still fine. Tsunami says it's kind of distracting, but cool. Yeah, and that's why I try to keep, like, these lights are not on me usually the whole day. I try to at least have the morning to not have these. And then again, actually, you know what? I don't ever see things from your guys' perspective, but, well, this didn't really do a lot to help. But this only takes up a very small portion of the screen. And then my lights take up an even smaller portion than that. Let's see. So Gao says, it's pretty cool when you use it, but after watching a couple hours, it's kind of distracting. A good chat's part of a good stream. I think if you remove the random blinking and just make it so you can choose one color and it stays for a bit, it'll be better. Being the token master, I have to say it's fun. Roving says you look very pretty with them on. Okay, so I think the general consensus is it can be distracting, so just try to make them not distracting. And by the way, I mentioned this a million times now, and I'm going to mention it another million times next week. I'm moving next Thursday. So in that new room, I might not have all the lights, let's say. Who knows what happens. But we're in a one-bedroom apartment right now, and we're moving to a two-bedroom apartment. So the living room, it made sense to just have these lights here. It didn't happen to be my office. It made sense for the stream to have you guys control them. In the new place, I'm not going to buy more bulbs because they're so expensive. So yeah, maybe I won't have as many in my office. Oh yeah, remove the maximum, it's really shining. I think, so what I noticed, and let me show you this just with my own interface here. What I noticed is that when you set it to blue, for example, it's much less intense. Like now all of a sudden it's bearable to see those lights in the background. But yeah, white, that's not the same way. And yeah, I can dim it too. We can set it to this. Did that even control these? Is this working? Oh yeah. Wow. Is there a limit to how fast I can change stuff to do with your lights? I don't know. I think it's really just like network latency that's the limit. Remove red? Why did I remove red? Roving Eye, I don't ever expect you to follow now, and I'm also just never giving you a token. Never. Like, you're... If I ever implement that whole everyone gets money every 5 minutes for staying in the stream, I'm going to make sure that your balance stays at 0. Yes, feel the anger. Oh, I think because the red messed with the camera. I think that was just changing the lights rapidly that mess with the camera. By the way, I can close all this stuff now. Oh, one other thing I should do is push the code. Boop. Code has been pushed. Alright, it is 5:03. I think I'm gonna get going. Actually, yeah, Roving Eye, you have been pretty loyal, and for not following me, that means you must have bookmarked me or something just to spite me. I mean, also to help me. So I do appreciate it. Yeah, gonna get going. All right, chat. It's been a great day. It's been a productive day. I hope you guys were entertained. I'm very happy with the progress. So I'm gonna go like shovel ice cream into my face or something. Take care, everyone. So long. Goodbye. Good night.